Moodz is a weekly show that does a reality check on newspaper headlines in New York and abroad. I'm Mehul Patel, an entrepreneur and comic based here in New York, which just means I have a tremendous problem with authority figures, but I do hope you'll listen anyways, even though I don't listen to anyone. So welcome to episode 3 of Moodz. Hope everybody's doing well. Today we got a great guest, Massimo. He's a comic based in Montreal, but has actually been on the go. He's down in Florida right now. I'm not going to butcher his last name, so I'm just going to call him Massimo, which is actually what he goes by, so it's not totally offensive. But I do know my co-host first and last name is Christos Petronis.
That's a relief.
Yeah, it is.
That's a relief.
Screw that up. It's been a long week. It's only been 3 days in, but I feel like everybody, for whatever reason, feels like this has been a long week. I'm no different. I keep thinking it's Friday and it's Wednesday.
Tell me about it. It's one of those weeks where every day, like, you love this kind of week. And every day felt like Monday. You wake everything. You feel like you're a step behind. It's one of those weeks.
See, I say that, but I don't hate it because I like the fact that I still got 2 days left of weekdays because I don't really. The weekends are all right.
You've got some headroom.
Weekdays is when shit gets done. Weekends, nothing gets done. So I don't mind that I've sort of tricked myself into an extra 48 hours that I was getting anyway. But, we do have a winter storm brewing coming through New York City within hours.
Let's actually take a look at that. So what's your mind space? You kind of go into a weekend, Friday rolls around. Where's your head at? What do you think about when you leave the office on Friday? Because I know every day, because I work right next to you, I know when you leave the office, you're still thinking about work every day.
Yeah.
What about Friday? How does that work for you?
Well, on Friday, I leave thinking I need Monday.
Okay.
I need Monday.
Fine.
But I know that I can't actually make that happen. I'm going to have to start planning how to get quickly through Saturday and Sunday. What is the fastest way to get from this point to Monday, psychologically speaking? Obviously, 24 hours is 24 hours no matter what. But how am I going to speed this up in my own mind? That's what I think about when I leave on Friday.
I don't want to dwell on this too much, but it's kind of fascinating to me because you're a successful guy. So it's not necessarily tied to a dollar amount, right? It's about the deal. It's about the action. It's one of those things. You are like an 80s. Kind of. Yeah, you're an 80s Wall Street figure. You are Gordon Gekko in a very strange way.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You kind of greed is good. Work is good. Monday is good. Like, what is that? What is the surrogate word?
I think Monday is good. Monday is when you get a fresh 5. And in a city like New York.
Put it in sports terms. I'm sorry. I have to jump in there. Fresh 5. Sounds like you got an extra timeout or something.
Oh, you do, though. Like in New York, 5 days, anything can happen. Anything can happen in this city over the course of 5 days. And I think that's the excitement is this the week? Is this the week something big happens? And even when I was struggling as an entrepreneur, that's when you feel it the most because nothing's going to happen Saturday and Sunday. You need Monday. Monday is the lifeline to get to what you're working for. All the sacrifices you're making on Saturdays and Sundays is so that you will be able to, take advantage of an opportunity that comes along. So,
well, okay. It's one way of looking at it. I think a lot of people listening might say, I work really hard. Therefore, I want to enjoy my weekends.
I don't understand.
I'm off from work.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, we're all going to die eventually. Whatever.
Well, that could be a very strong point to my point, to the opposite of what you believe, actually.
I just think
if I can articulate it.
For me, it's just an urgency. It's an urgency of time. Time is limited, and you got to max it out. And it's hard to get anything done on the weekends. But that's just me. That's where my head always is on a Friday.
Well, I think this one thing I like about that is that the boardroom, We talk about like our segment where we're going to get into the boardroom. One of the things that this kind of points to is that you enjoy it so much that most people would say, hey, look, that's maybe not the most joyful attitude. It's a little joyless perhaps, but that's actually not the case. You love the workday. It's joyful for you. Right.
Yeah.
So you don't need that sort of, I actually, my pressure builds up like a canister that it will explode unless I let it out. It will. That's what will happen. I will torpedo myself ritualistically to get rid of it and to kind of blow all that. That's what I do. So like, that's why it's fascinating to me. But that's the old adage that if you love what you do, you'd never work a day in your life. It's one of those things, right? It's sort of,
it takes time to get to there. The two things I love is I love real estate and I love stand-up comedy. And, so those are the two pursuits that I'm always going to look at as joy, not so much pain, right? It's
sure.
An old Rob Bass song that probably nobody.
Wow, we're bringing Rob Bass into it. I love it.
Forget about even knowing this song. I don't even know if anybody knows who Rob Bass is anymore.
They definitely know the song. All you have to do is, why don't you sing us the verse? Yes, come on.
No,
come on.
No, if it was Friday, maybe, but it's Wednesday, so I can't do it.
Okay, well, we do have a massive snowstorm coming in, so let's go. It's a virtual Friday. Not to use a word that's overused, but
so that's the other thing is we're not at the Tippler, is where we usually record this, which is a great bar under Chelsea Market. I'm in the office. Christos is at his place, where where I like to call Hoarder HQ. That's
with this hair. I look like a hoarder with this hair today. Look,
his apartment is, it's Hoarder 101, right? That's what it is over there. But we are bracing for I guess a real nor'easter is going to come here, and it actually has made the cover of the Daily News, which is one of the headlines we're going to take a look at today. And
I would like to address the hoarder comment very quickly, just very quickly. I was going to let it go, and then I was like, okay, I have to speak to it. So, to your point, I've never considered myself a hoarder.
You should.
And
that's step number one. You should consider
probably. So I went to like U-Haul and bought some boxes. I bought a lot of boxes. I bought 60 boxes.
So that would be the first sign of hoarding.
You might think that's true, but I started filling the boxes, and then I realized that I need at least 200 more.
260 boxes?
Well, hold on. They're small boxes. Well, I need about 180 total. That's what I've kind of deduced.
That's insane.
Now, I have a lot of books. I have a lot of books I like to read. I have a lot of records. I have a lot of things. So I'm actually beginning sort of like this, like if the dawn, the sun is rising, there's a sliver of sunlight on me. And that is the realization that I may have a hoarding problem.
No,
I might have a small little problem.
You clear 75 boxes, and that I'm telling you, that's beginner level hoarding. Probably not at intermediate or advanced, but you're at the beginner level where you can cure this.
Right.
And still keep all of your friends and family.
I can still maintain social relationships.
If you get over 200, you start to lose people.
Yeah.
Start losing people at that level.
Here's the thing. I think I'm entering an interesting point in my life because I have 2 cats, and somehow not one. Yeah, not one. I have 2, but actually getting another cat or 2 seems to be a good idea to me.
That would seem like a horrible idea to me.
Right.
It's terrible.
So the idea of hoarding cat, I'm like a cat lady that hoards. Like, it's really getting bad. I'm entering the twilight of my life. It's clear.
You gotta get some help.
It's not good. It's not good. On that note, let's talk about this blizzard. Let's talk about the Daily News.
Yeah, so the Daily News is got a cover story here that says, "Take a powder as blizzard bears down, restaurants to lose outdoor seating on top of indoor dining ban, and it's got three workers there taking down the makeshift outdoor seating and outdoor cover that's pretty much any restaurant that's open in New York has right now. So this is what we're all preparing for. And I think last week we were talking about how everybody mentally was preparing for the winter. Now this is us physically preparing for the winter. It's coming, and it's not even going to be a light introduction, right? This is going to be, no, we're not going to get a little dusting or 3 inches just to get us used to what winter is going to be like for the next 120 days. We're getting the full on, we're going to kick you in the balls really hard. And I guess if you're a woman, right in the ovaries, like this is what's happening. We're getting testicle and ovary smashing.
It hurts. It really
a little
hurts.
later today. I mean, it's supposed to it start snowing in my background, right? Like any second now. This is coming, and I think it's going to be, fun for the first half of tomorrow, and then as the snow sits there and doesn't melt, it's going to be pretty painful.
Yeah. It's that thing in New York. It's beautiful for about a millisecond, and then it hits the ground, and then you've got New York City grit and grime, which then it turns black, and it's disgusting. Everything sucks afterwards. It's really beautiful for a very, very brief moment.
Yeah, but that's a lot of things in New York, right? When a rooftop bar opens up in New York, it's awesome for a season, and then you go there the following season, and it's the worst place, worst experience possible. But that's exactly what's going to happen here. It's going to get disgusting. It's not even going to get shoveled because half our storefronts are closed, and they're generally the people out there salting and shoveling the sidewalks. I don't know what this is going to look like over the course of Thursday and Friday, but I think people are
going to be good
flooding to places.
So, it's interesting. I think New York City is one of the few cities in the world that hotels are not relevant. They're just not relevant. So that idea of the rooftop bar, all of that just doesn't work in New York, right? They never stay relevant. Nobody actually hangs out in hotels. In every other city in the world, hotels are where people go. Somehow hotels do not count in New York City. I don't know why. I think New Yorkers do not like tourists at all. They don't want to be even close to a tourist. So they will not chase that sort of, that
unless it's a
current.
Unless it's a boutique hotel. A boutique hotel might get some action, but the kind of
a year, as you said. Yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nobody will go. But I do want to take a second on this headline.
Sure.
Because I didn't know what it meant. Take a powder. I literally thought that headline was something about snow and powder, and it's not. It's actually a phrase meaning to scram, vanish, and it was probably originated, it seems like, from the 1920s, where it was a common phrase doctors would say, take a powder. I've never heard this saying before. Like, whoever came up with this at the Daily News must be like a huge Jeopardy fan, or I have no idea. I've never heard that as a phrase used before. Take a powder.
Either have I. I also, let's face it, they probably need to get a little younger in their editorial staff. I mean, it's the word you said, the definition is to scram. That's
scram.
Scram, right?
I Googled this, but scram.
Right. Scram is also a little bit anachronistic. You just don't hear scram very often. It's also exactly.
Like, that falls under beat it.
It falls under beat it. Right.
These are. I just don't hear this. I mean, unless you watch like fucking Brady Bunch and Charlie Brown, or I don't know. That's the only place I would assume you'd hear it. But take a powder. The only time I've ever heard this in my life was at a gym. Believe it or not.
Take a powder.
Yeah, if this was the headline to a part of my life. The story would be when I first moved to New York. I lived in Jersey City. This was a long time ago, before Jersey City had anything. And the only gym I could go to was like Meathead Central. Everybody was gigantic. They either looked like they just got out of freaking prison or were trying to become a pro wrestler. And I was easily you walking in there, you had no idea who the strongest guy was because everybody was huge, but it was obvious who the weakest guy was. That would be me. That was clear. That was absolutely clear.
The Indian guy walked in, right? And then, right.
Like the weights I used, I never had to wait for anybody because they were, nobody used those size weights. But there's this one dude who would always come up to me and be like, you should take powder. You should take powder. You should get shakes and protein this and just have a protein shake every morning. You'll be jacked. You'll be huge. You're 6'3", bro. Like you can just do this and you will be huge. And he wouldn't stop with it. Every time I saw him, he would mention it. And there was a day where he was spotting me on the bench because he always did. And I don't even remember how much weight.
You had a spot buddy. I love it. You had a spot buddy. Yeah.
And I will admit when the guy who's spotting you is 3 times your size, you feel a little bit like, hey, yeah, like he's with me.
Right.
He's with me. I'm with him. You can't.
You're validated. Right. You're in that context.
He thinks I'm stronger than I look. Why else would he spot me?
Right.
And so I have to admit that. But this day, I think I've lifted more weight than I had ever in the past. He went nuts. He started just yelling and screaming, being like, look what my boy did. He was going nuts. He was genuinely happy. And he was such a hype man. He got everybody in the gym to clap.
Right. That's very sweet, actually.
Yeah.
It's actually very sweet. It's actually, I'm a little touched, actually. He took an interest in you. Are you sure he wasn't a trainer trying to get? He was
not a trainer because he only did like 4 exercises: squats, biceps. Like he only did a few exercises. There's no way he was a trainer.
Right.
And this guy could not look different than me. Shaved head, tattoos all over the place, humongous.
Right.
Like he looked like The Rock, jumping up and down, going crazy. And I still remember it. 20 plus years later, I still remember it. Because you never know who's gonna be your hype man. You never know. And he was great. He was awesome.
That's okay. So how long did you continue to work out there? Did you stay longer because of him? Because that sometimes happens.
For sure. I remember when my membership was coming to an end and I was going to move into the city. I remember I was like, I got to go say bye to him. Literally, and I did that.
Did you? Sweet.
I literally did do that.
Oh, we make a little weird. So I think we have to sound effect this. Yeah, continue.
But
sorry.
Yeah, no, it did make me go to the gym more because if he didn't see me for a week or 3 days or 4 days, because he was there every day.
Right.
He'd be like, where you been? And I just felt like I was letting him down by not going. I was like his little pet gym project. So yeah, for me, that take a powder, that's the only time anybody's ever said that to me.
That's he basically wanted you to roid up and join him.
Oh yeah.
That for me was college professors that would, if I didn't show up to 2 or 3 classes, they would always pull me to the side when I came and they'd be like, where have you been? We missed you these past, they would, so those college professors I would disappoint, not so much my trainers. Just my attendance was,
it was spotty.
It was pretty spotty.
They must have, they cared enough to say that. I mean, I would.
They liked my work. They so there was always like, they always wanted to talk to me and kind of figure out more about me and kind of create a bond, I felt. But I would always disappoint.
I don't think a college professor ever spoke to me once.
Really?
I don't think so. I can't even remember a conversation. I don't know if I can even remember a college professor's name. I can
Wow.
remember every one of my grammar school teachers and high school I can't remember one college professor.
Well, strike one for state school. You just buried state education. You really just crushed it. I think we should. I think let's take a look at another headline. You know, we talk about the Post, and to your point about restaurants earlier, to your point about the nor'easter and weather, the sort of the double whammy that's happening right now in the food and beverage industry in New York City and around the country. They're just small businesses are getting crushed.
Yeah.
I think nothing is more endemic or you know sort of representative of a small business than the restaurant industry by definition.
Sure.
They're right. And so the 21 Club is closing. Tales of 21, farewell to iconic 90-year-old restaurant. For those of you who have visited New York, you probably passed outside the 21 Club. It had that sort of parade of those statues above it, like there were equestrians, I believe, right?
Yeah, a bunch of horse riders. And
right.
It's a pretty pretentious place.
It is. It's Marilyn Monroe went there, Jackie O. It was sort of Tony Curtis. If I'm not mistaken, it's funny because when you said scram, get lost, take a powder, the first thing that came to my mind was like it sounded like dialogue from a Clifford Odets play. And
nobody knows what that is.
Clifford Odets. Well, it was a great. If you've ever seen Barton Fink, the Coen Brothers movie.
I have seen that movie.
Okay, so that's Clifford Odets. That's who it's based on.
Okay.
He was a playwright. He suffered tremendously at the McCarthy era Hollywood. He was given up by Elias Kazan, one of my sort of countrymen, in that he's also Greek. He gave up Odets, and Odets couldn't work for many years in Hollywood as a result.
Horrid history, it sounds like.
I do. Well, the only reason I bring it up is because when you said "scram, get lost," it sounds like Odets would, would say something like, "You're dead, son. Go get yourself buried." Like that's a very kind of Odets kind of thing to say.
Oh, it's like when Marilyn Monroe tells a guy, "Scram, beat it."
Right. That's very era specific, and there's an iconic scene in Sweet Smell of Success where Tony Curtis and Burt Lancaster meet at the 21 Club. And maybe we can reference that in post-production because it's a fantastic scene. And that's what I think about. So Odets somehow was very present today, both in the Daily News headline and this Post headline. What does that kind of mean for you? Is there any way you take this headline, apply to your life? Like what?
Yeah, Tales of 21. I mean, the 21 Club, there's another scene from the movie Wall Street where Michael Douglas talks to Charlie Sheen about, you can't be coming in here dressed like that. Go see my guy Morty downtown. He'll hook you up. So I remember that scene vividly. I was probably in junior high. And then I actually went to the 21 Club. And what it means to me is, this is a place, if you haven't been, you have to wear a jacket. You're required to wear a jacket once you're seated as well while you eat. It's one of those types of places. So, I always hated this place. I never liked it. I don't like places like that. I mean, you gotta wear a freaking jacket while you eat. So like, hey, why don't you just give me a straight jacket too while you gotta eat? Who the hell can eat with a fucking jacket on? Nobody can do that. That's impossible. All right. That's guaranteed. I'm going to spill food on myself. It's a 30% chance I spill food on myself without wearing a jacket. If I wear a jacket, let's just move that to 60, 70%. I'm going to spill something on myself. So I never liked this place.
Right. I'm at 50% anyway. So that's just a little bump up for me.
Yeah. I never liked it. I never liked this place. But that said, I don't want it to close. Even though I don't like it, I still don't want it to close. It does have those iconic statuettes outside. It does remind me of that movie Wall Street, which, for better or worse, inspired me to become an investment banker. And then I cursed the movie because
Thank God. That's why we're such good friends. Thank God.
after the first month of working in finance, I was like, oh my God, this sucks.
Right. I hate everyone in this. Right.
So I would always associate this restaurant with my poor decision making early in my career. And so I have no affinity for it, but I don't want to see restaurants closing. I don't want to see that. The restaurant industry has sort of just really been the punching bag throughout COVID, particularly in New York. It's a tough business. It's a hard business. A lot of the people that are in that business just love owning a restaurant. It's just not a business that I think you can go into without having some love affair for it. I just don't, because of how much work you have to put into it.
Well, if I can jump in, is there a place, because this is about an iconic place closing in New York? It's a heartstring type of. It's also representative of all the all the small businesses that are suffering. Is there something in New York that, and maybe people out there can talk to this a little bit, speak to this, but is there something that you miss where you are, 20 years ago, you had because usually when people ask me those kind of questions, I respond with something that was very much something that I did in my 20s or I did in my 30s. It was very representative of my age as opposed to the city that I lived in.
I don't know if it's any sort of actual place that doesn't exist. I think it's sort of, as much as I'm not the Unabomber. I'm not anti-technology. I'm all for the advancement of technology and how much it's made our life better. But I kind of do miss the trying to figure out where people are at. Like you really had to commit to what you were going to do in an evening before cell phones, because you didn't have a choice.
So agree with that.
You really didn't have a choice. You're just like, all right, such and such is here, such and such is here. Flip the coin. Where am I going to have a better time type circumstance? And I kind of like that. I like that whole, this is what we're doing tonight. There wasn't any of this hopping around. You couldn't do that because you could end up going somewhere else and not even meet up with the person that you thought was there because they left, because we weren't, communicating.
That's right. We used to call those better deal plans, right? Yeah. Where you tell everybody what you're doing and then no one commits because they're going to weigh everything else that they have on the menu and then kind of decide. And you're always like, as soon as someone begins to do that and you see those kind of machinations begin, you're like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to start inviting you anymore. Like, some people that you just blanket invite knowing they probably will never show up. And then there are people that you try to make plans with once or twice. And then, I actually am very guilty of that, I have to say, being a career New Yorker.
But it's gotten worse now. I mean,
so much worse. The cell phone made everybody like that, right?
I do miss that. I guess that's just being old and nostalgic more than something that was here and that is gone. But what is no longer here is that in New York, where it's like, no, this is what I'm doing tonight. I'm not deviating, because you just don't have that option. And so people have certainly gotten more flaky, if you had a time machine and you asked me that in 1999, like, do you think people can get more flaky than they are right now? I'd be like, hell no, look at this shit, man. People aren't showing up to my party, blah, 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 but they have. I mean, people have. So I kind of miss that. I miss having to get a girl's number as opposed to, hey,
right, here's my IG handle. Yeah. Oh God.
You felt like you achieved something when you got somebody's phone number. It was like you just lifted a lot of weight and your hype man's going crazy. Getting a phone number was a thing back then. And now it doesn't matter. You'll end up seeing them again, or you can follow them on Instagram and find a way to catch up with them. But you kind of had to be in the moment more.
I guess the only thing I would say to that is, first of all, it's spot on. The other thing I would say is that, to me, what this is kind of representative of, as we talk about this a little bit, but New York City, when I used to leave my house, in the sort of old Manhattan that people like to, lionize, when I used to leave my house, if I felt like I was like a hero in a Western movie, like I would get on a horse and just ride out, and no idea what would happen. It was just the unknown, right? It was just wilderness.
Yes.
There was the frontier. That was New York City.
Yeah.
New York City, you had no idea what was going to happen to you.
No.
You knew you were going to start one place, and then the night would take over. That's it. Yeah. You were just in the night. You would just kind of fade out into this as a silhouette. And that doesn't happen so much anymore. Brooklyn is better for sure, but I feel like this is another step in sort of, New York City has become a menu where you know pretty much exactly what you're getting everywhere you go. And you can almost predict what will happen to you.
Well, you're getting a weather report before you get there too.
That's right.
Somebody's telling you like, there's a lot of people. There isn't a lot of people. The music's good. The food's bad. The this, the that. You're actually getting, you're less, the chances of being surprised now are less.
And I think that's why I would look at this whole cell phone thing is that, for me, not having that wonder, mystery, and unknown, not having that wilderness, that just night, you're just going out, it's just night. You don't know where, start one place and you're going to walk and go in cabs and whoever you meet up, there's no coordination, none of it.
The hunt for a good time is very different now.
Very different. And I actually feel bad. We sound really old right now, by the way, but I feel bad for people who've never got to experience what complete randomness.
They're younger than me. I don't feel a fucking ounce of bad for them. I'm supposed to feel bad for somebody who's young to know who robbed base.
Fair point. It's a fair point.
Too young to know what it's like to not have a cell phone. No, I don't feel bad for them at all. I don't at all. I hope they all go bald early.
That's it. You can't go to the bald part. You can't go.
I did.
Transition. You can't go bald. You cannot do that.
I hope they have lower back pain. I hope all of that. All of that. I'm a petty, petty, petty man. So Tales of 21. I actually like this headline. If you had to apply that to your own life, would it be essentially what you're talking about? Tales of 21 was sort of when you would start the night and go out, or would it be
completely something? That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of just a time where I couldn't plan everything, and it was just not, the equation didn't exist, and I love that. And I also think that it like you said, you don't have a weather report. So back then, kind of bars, and I mean, it was an era of lounges, but those kind of things had a life unto themselves.
Sure.
Because you would just, the vibe was everything, right? It was not about, you didn't have a menu, who's playing, who's this, one night is this, one night is this. It was just, you would just go and frequent it.
You go where the night takes you, which is the beauty of New York. And I think we all miss it, even though it's a different version of that right now, or was before COVID. It'll come back, and I think people will be excited. But everybody's kind of got their tales of the night. And I actually, for me, between the two headlines, take a powder is very current. I think it's a pretty stupid phrase. To me, the New York Post won today. Tales of 21. I'll actually probably think about this story, and I'm going to leave the office and walk by this place. That's how much this headline has kind of gotten to my own head today. I am going to walk by, and I will pay it respect, and I'll say goodbye to it, because it certainly had an impact on me. Even though I didn't like this place, I'm sorry to see it close. Part of New York.
I think also, let's face it. This is an insert. This is a kind of thing where you're bored. This is a boredom gauge of how, when you're talking to someone and you really are not interested, you go, "Did you hear the 21 Club closed?" It's an insert into a boring conversation when you're just trying to keep it afloat. You want to wait until you say, "Okay, I'll see you later, man." Like, this is that, right? This is the boredom insert. Because you really don't care, but someone else might care.
It's a 90-year-old restaurant that, quite frankly, I don't think anyone's really going to care that it's closed. But so, like, on that note, we'll hear from Massimo some tales of Florida. He's in Clearwater, so I'm gonna reach out to him in a second and see what he's up to. Christos is going to abandon us and go buy more boxes while I find out what's going on in the HQ of Scientology down in Clearwater. So good luck with those boxes.
I thought you were literally referring to my house. Oh my God. Okay. Thank you, Massimo, for being in somewhere that would describe that, because my house kind of feels like a Scientologist home right now. Okay. Let's get to Massimo and see what the hell Clearwater, Florida is like.
Absolutely. So here we are with my friend and fellow comic, Massimo. You've seen him on the Comedy Network, Spike TV. He's got a very funny scene in X-Men Days of Future Past. I always loved that scene, and once I got to know Massimo, I loved that scene even more. So definitely check it out. So Massimo is actually I don't know, was or is a Montreal-based comic. He's down in Clearwater, Florida right now. So we wanted to get his perspective on Florida being a Canadian, because, you know, as all Canadians know, when Americans experience something they don't like here, they say, you know, if that happens, I'm going to move to Canada. And Massimo did the exact opposite. So he's been in Florida for a little bit. So Massimo, you're in Clearwater, right?
It's always, sorry, can I just start by saying It's always weird when you're like being recorded, you're in a thing like this and you're being recorded and somebody's talking about you like you're not in the room, and you're like, am I like right now, like I see myself in the Zoom, am I being seen on, like, am I on just standing here just going, you know, because sometimes you'll see interviews like on news and you're just like, should I start talking now? Because he's talking about me right now. Or should I just stand here and just keep on nodding like there's
that's how meetings on Zoom are as well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, whenever you see, everything's a Zoom thing now. Like I've been watching, the election and everything. You're just watching all these, meetings and interviews and whatever. And usually that person, would come into the studio. Like there was some like stuff like via, but everything that was via like satellite was always like, the interviews and, like the journalists in Washington, the other person's in New York. That person goes to a studio in New York and they do it via, you know what I mean? But now everything's Zoom. So you just see so many like
now it's not
shit quality cameras. Before you'd watch the news and it was always, the Perfect. Cameras in the studio and like just everything looked beautiful. And now it's just, you can see some people have bought like, like cam links and connected like a proper camera. And then you can see a lot of people are just using like, right now I'm just using the camera on my phone. And, some people have no lighting, so it's all fucking grainy and shit, like whenever they interview an expert who's like 85 years old, it's always like low lighting, just fucking all grainy. You can't fucking see shit.
Well, that's
you're like,
funny.
Somebody should have told this person, turn on some lights or do it in front of a fucking window where the sun's coming in, like.
No, and it's like you're used to the news being perfect, right? Their hair is always perfect, the makeup is always perfect, the lighting is always perfect. And so now you see the opposite, and maybe that's why people keep calling it fake news. They're just like, this looks fake. This
looks They're not using real equipment. They're using a fucking iPhone.
Like, using a freaking Fisher Price camera and this child's microphone. Like, what is it?
It's pretty bad. Everything in general, really.
You've been in Clearwater. For how long have you been in Clearwater, Florida right now?
I came like end of June. I came down.
End of June. So, there's always.
And then I got married in the end of July.
So you got married at the end of July. Did you wait? So okay, let's go back. You moved to Florida, or you went down?
Yeah, I was already engaged before moving here.
Okay. And then you got married a month later.
Yeah, well, I'm saying I was, we were engaged. It was a while that but it's not like I just got Clearwater.
In 30 days.
Clearwater went to a bar and went like, you'll do.
Well, it's Florida, Massimo. That does happen. That does have to ask. Like maybe you lost all your Montreal sense and
absolutely
Floridian.
You knock up some lady who's from the Everglades or whatever, and then her papa, her pa's like, you got to marry my daughter. make it wrapped.
On my sugar ass.
Yeah. No, yeah, I came down, and I got married, so I'm like all married and shit now.
Okay.
And but I've been here, like end of June, so just say whatever, since July.
Okay.
So what is that? I don't know, 6 months?
6
5?
months.
Yeah, 5,
You're
6 months.
experiencing it. So I guess you always hear crazy headlines coming out of Florida all the time, right?
Yeah, I just recently learned about the Florida man. So I was telling somebody
the Florida man. Yeah.
Yeah, I said to somebody who was like in North Carolina, this dude I know, and I said, I think I wished him like a happy Thanksgiving. And then, I mentioned that I'm in Florida, and he was like, oh, watch out for the Florida man. But when like you don't know something, but you don't want to ask what is that because you don't want to seem dumb. And you're like, yeah, no, for sure, buddy. And that's what I wrote. And then I asked like my brother-in-law, I go, somebody said the Florida man. What's the Florida man? Because they're all from here. They've been here for like generations and shit. And I was like, oh, he goes, the Florida man. It's just, whenever there's a headline, it's always like, Florida man does this. And it always ends with something dumb. I'm like,
insane thing. Yeah. So those are the headlines we're used to. And, coming from Montreal, have you found the Florida experience to be at all crazy, or is it a lot more tame than you thought it would be?
Yeah, you know what? Like, I have to say, like, this is, we're in, there's the pandemic, social distancing. Definitely sometimes when you walk down the streets here of Clearwater, like Florida people don't like care. Do you know what I mean? Like they'll put on masks and all that. Most of them will wear masks. Like I still haven't seen anybody, like I've heard about people, going, I don't need to put on a mask.
Yeah.
It's, invasion of my whatever freedom or whatever the fuck. But I still haven't seen it, in person. Like, but I always just see people like they'll put on the mask to get into a place, and then everybody's just sitting together, masks off. Like I'm talking about like in bars and all that. Like I remember there was one because often I'll go walk by the beach, like Clearwater Beach, right? There's like the the main strip, you know what I mean, along the beach, and there's a lot of obviously it's Florida, so there's a lot of bars that have like patios and all that. And if you walk by those bars and you didn't know there was a pandemic, you wouldn't think anything. If you look at those bars, it doesn't look like there's a pandemic or people social, because everybody's in that bar and it's like there's like 30, 40 people sitting all close together. And it's like, you're like, it's impossible that a group of 40 people decided, 40 people who know each other decided to go out tonight together. These are all people that don't know each other. And they're all just, there's no like, I remember somebody showing me, my friend, I don't know if do you know Santi Espinosa?
I don't know him well. I know of him.
Okay, yeah, but anyway, he's he's Colombian, and then he moved to Montreal, and now he lives in New York. But anyway, he sent me a picture of a club in New York, comedy club, like one of the first nights where things reopened in New York, and they had all the tables with the social, whatever 6 feet apart. So there's all this space. You go to places in Florida, like if there is enough, like if there's not too many people, they will like separate people that have that space. But if there's, let's say it holds 100 people and 100 people show up, they're gonna use all the tables. They don't care. They're not spacing anything out. So like I went to one restaurant.
We're gonna service them.
Yeah, they don't give a shit. Like I think and I didn't even realize this. And then I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But like Florida, as far as when like the rest of like the world, not even like
not the other 49 states.
Yeah, not even like the country or the continent, like the entire world. When the entire world was like shut down and closed, Florida, if I'm not mistaken, but I remember reading this, but I'm pretty sure whatever I read was true. But anyway, I remember reading that they only shut down for 2.5 weeks.
Pretty much, you know what I mean? No. They basically said we're gonna try this, but nah.
Yeah, they were shut. Apparently, that's what I read somewhere. There was only like 2.5 weeks, and if it wasn't 2.5 weeks, because then I started thinking back, and I'm like, that's true. Because I remember when when the whole pandemic happened, and because I think it was as far as in Canada, and I was in Canada when all the shutdown started. I think it was like March 15th. They closed down all the bars and the restaurants, and then it opened up like the end of June. I do remember that like a few weeks later, people talking about, I saw like comics, posting, I'm going to be at the, whatever the fuck, funny farm
Yeah.
in, Tampa or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Like I start seeing posts. I'm like, oh, is Florida, opening up? What's going on?
Yeah, no, I mean that's Florida.
And then the numbers shot up to the biggest numbers in the country.
Florida
Because at one point they were the lowest numbers in the country. Because my wife, she's from here, from Tampa Bay, but she was living in New York for 3 years, and that's where we met. And everything was kind of getting crazy. The numbers were lower. She also wants to go back to school. She's like a nurse practitioner. She wants to get a certification for something else, further education, and it's just easier.
She wants to escape Florida. She wants to escape Florida.
yeah. So, but anyway, we decided to come here. But at the time that we decided that she was, we were going to come here, the numbers were the lowest in the country, and then everything aside, she found a place here and everything, and then like I think literally 2 weeks later. Like once everything was like, place was found, everything set up. Like a week, not more than 2 weeks, like numbers highest in the country. And then I'm hearing this. I'm here because I'm still in Canada, waiting to travel and all that. And then I finally get here, and I'm like, yeah, no kidding. The numbers are the fucking highest in the country. Like nobody gives a shit, bro. You go to the beach, everybody's no mask. You go to like bars. Everybody's no mask. You know what I mean? Even if they're waiting for it. As soon as they just walk in, they take off the mask. And there's no, like I said, there's no distancing with the tables. All the tables are just as far as the places I've seen.
Outside looking in, that's what it seems like, right?
Yeah.
From a distance, I'm in New York, and obviously that's what it seems like, is that Florida is just wide.
No, it's not what it seems like. It's exactly that. Like nobody gives a shit. Like I've been seeing like on TikTok, like on TikTok, somebody does like something funny, and then everybody just rips off that idea. But there's been like this like popular like TikTok thing that everybody's doing about Florida, and it's like pandemic, fuck that. Whatever, I forgot what the other one was. But anyway, it's like, this thing, that thing. It's like pandemic, fuck that. Hurricanes, fuck that. I'm not staying inside. Fucking cold front, and they all just, stay in the house. And it's true, man. I remember we were at the beach.
But that's Florida.
Canada.
That's Florida.
But that's the thing. They just don't give a shit.
Dude, Florida's the ultimate party animal state, right? If a state was a party animal, Florida would be it.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. It's all about like just I'll do what the fuck I want. Like they have a law here where you don't have to wear a helmet with your motorcycle. Do you know what I mean? Like I know there's a couple other
destruction.
Like I know there's a couple other states. I think there might be one or two other states that allows that, no helmet. But there's nobody wears a helmet. Like for like a motorcycle, I'll see it maybe like out of 100, let's say, motorcycles I might see. Maybe I've seen maybe 10 of those people on a motorcycle were wearing a helmet. Scooters, nobody wears a helmet on a scooter. Like, forget about it. Nobody.
They don't consider that an actual form of transportation. That's like a
bike.
That's
exactly. Even though it's
they're gonna lower
50 miles an hour.
They're gonna start saying you can date 15-year-olds pretty soon down there.
I think that's already a law here.
That's probably already is. That's probably part of the state constitution. What I do find interesting though is you mentioned you're in Clearwater, which I gotta ask.
Yeah.
I gotta ask. This is like the epicenter for Scientology. Have you experienced that? What have you experienced any sort of Scientology?
I haven't really experienced, I haven't experienced in the sense like somebody said, "Oh, I'm a Scientologist," but I haven't, confirmed that I met Scientologists. But
okay,
I did. I was on the beach, Clearwater Beach, one day, and some woman came up to me, and she was like, "Do you have some time to take a survey? Are you a resident?" And I was like, and I was already also in a bad mood. I think I might have had like a fight on the phone with my wife or something. So I was already in a bad a bad mood, and I just turned. I was like, I did. It was like that thing that I always do when I'm like in a bad mood, and I'm like somebody's coming, and I could feel like there's like some sort of con or something happening, and no, I just do that. I just the first thing I say is not even words, and then it just ends with, I don't have time for this shit. And if they insist, I'm like, listen, I don't have fucking time. Just leave me the fuck alone. You know what I mean? But she's like, and I'm like, and I just said, no, I'm not a resident, And then she felt my energy. And she's like, okay. But it was the way she smiled. That smile is the same smile that I've seen on like Jehovah's Witness faces when they knock at your door, or like a Mormon, and you open the door and like, have you heard about the prophet?
We're here for you.
Joseph.
We're here for you.
Yeah, it's just that weird smile where you're like, nobody smiles like that. And when people smile like that, they're either trying to get you to join a religion, or they're trying to get you to give them all of your money in your bank account.
Yeah,
or both. You know what I mean? Like
either to sell you a timeshare or sell you.
Yeah, or they want to like. It's either they want you to join a religion, they want your money, or they want to wear your skin like a suit. Nobody smiles like
absolute serial killer.
Time to take...
It is. You don't.
Like fucking yeah. Nobody smiles like that. No normal person smiles like.
No, and it scares you immediately. Like it's.
Yeah, when somebody smiles like this, that's their brain going, all right, lift your front lip up, show teeth, open your eyes wide so they know you're happy. Would you like to take a survey? No, I don't want to take a survey. What does it take place in that fucking van across the street?
It's
I'm good.
Smile,
yeah.
It's the smile of a cannibal, right? Just like the smile of a cannibal.
Yeah, something mental is going to happen to you if you continue talking to this person.
So you have it.
But I did see the Scientology. I would describe it as a palace. It is, dude. It's like 2 blocks. It took 2 blocks to build. It's like you would think it was Buckingham Palace. It basically looks like a more modern, newer version.
And this is their headquarters.
Yeah, this is their headquarters, and like they have. Listen, this is one of those religion. They got Vatican money. The Scientology. They got that Vatican money.
I love that.
It's the huge palace. It's like the entire. It stretches out the width of a city block, and then that wasn't enough. Then they built like across the street. When they have like a tunnel that connects 2 buildings together.
Yeah.
And there's a bill to the other block. Like they needed. Like it's basically stretches out to like basically a block and a half. And when you're in downtown Clearwater, because that's where most Scientologists are, when you're in downtown Clearwater, every second building is something Scientology. It's like Scientology Volunteer Center, Scientology fucking Nail Center, whatever the fuck it is. It's like everything is Scientology, and then whatever the thing that building's doing. But they pretty much, from what I hear, you know what I mean? I haven't seen the facts until I see the facts. So, but anyway, apparently, and I believe it because you see enough buildings that have the word Scientology in it. But they pretty much own, like, as far as buildings, property, like half of Clearwater. Definitely like downtown Clearwater. What's that?
Did you know it was their headquarters?
No, I didn't. I didn't know that.
What did you think?
I always thought their headquarters was like in LA. That's what I always thought.
No,
I had no idea it was
this
Clearwater.
building. Did you know it was a Scientology building?
I did know because I was in the car with my wife.
Okay.
And we were driving by. She goes, "Oh, that's the Clearwater headquarters."
Wow.
And I knew about it because then once I started dating my wife, she was talking about being from Tampa Bay, and I think one time something about Scientology or maybe Tom Cruise was on TV, and then that's when I found out. Like, I definitely found out before I came here, but I think Tom Cruise or John Travolta was on TV or something like that. And then my wife was like, at the time we were dating, and my wife was like, yeah, you know what? Actually, where I'm from, it's like there's a lot of Scientologists, especially in Clearwater. I'm like, what? And they started telling me, and then once I got here, when I first got here, we were driving around, and she's like, that's the Scientology. And I looked, I'm like, that's a palace. It's like literally, maybe it's even bigger than Buckingham Palace. I don't know, but it's definitely.
No, I've seen the picture. It's huge.
Yeah, dude, it's huge. It looks, it's either like it looks like either whichever way you want to describe it, a palace, a crazy 5-star hotel. Like if you would see it walking by, like I joke about it.
That's how they get people to convert.
Yeah, man, and it's listen, when you walk by, like even the other day I was driving by and we were I forget where we were going, but we pulled onto another street because like I said, it's just an entire block, and we pulled off on another side of it, and I saw like as far as the parking, there's like a gate. Everywhere else, all the parking garages, there's no gate that comes up, and
yeah,
but there's like a gate that comes up and it closes it off so nobody can walk in, or maybe also nobody can walk out. You know what I mean? Like, I know there's like, like I know once you were talking,
I think nobody can walk out is the key. I think once you go in, nobody see like, oh yeah, I knew this guy Mikey. He went in. I haven't seen Mikey since. And then you see Mikey a year later on the beach with a cannibal smile. You know,
yeah, exactly. Hi, you want to take a survey about residency? I'm like, I'm good. Leave me alone. Yeah,
it's me, Mikey from high school. No,
yeah,
get the hell away from me, man. Like that's what I would.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of documentaries, and obviously, Scientology denies all these things, but I've seen some documentaries of people saying that, like as soon when you're like, if you live outside of those Scientology like compounds, whatever the fuck you want to call them, if you live outside of it, you do have a little bit more freedom. Like you can have a phone, but as soon as you decide
to go in,
to join the whatever it's called, it's like being like a missionary, like
I think it's
kind
called
of thing.
Being in the Sea Org.
Yeah, that's it. The Sea Org. When you join the Sea Org, you live in these compounds, and they take away. You have no phone. You have no connection to internet. You can't see what's happening. The only thing you know is inside that building. And if you leave, you have to like. You can't just go like, all right, I'm just going to a corner store, just walk the fuck out. You got to be like, okay, I got to go. I'm just going to get something at the store. It's like, well, and if you better hope, if you do want to leave, you better try to find something that they don't have in that building, because they probably have everything, so you don't have to leave.
Oh, they
You
probably
can't be like, oh, dude, I got a craving for a Snickers bar. They're like, dude, we got like 10,000 Snickers bars right here. Yeah. We made sure that you never have to leave. We never have to leave for anything.
Fingers and all types of stuff here. So I have a question for you. Going from Montreal to Florida, but more importantly, I know that you are a connoisseur of Italian food. Have you had an Italian food experience in Clearwater?
So far, the only good Italian food I've eaten here is the food I've cooked in my house. I've been to a few. Like, I definitely went to. As far as the first Italian, I did go to an Olive Garden, but I just went. Like, I knew it wasn't going to be great. I just went there because I never tried Olive. Because in Canada, we don't have Olive Garden.
Better or worse than your expectation?
It was. You know what? It was actually. I went in. I didn't go in there like a lot of Italians are like, oh, it's going to be terrible. And I went in, and because I always thought myself, I'm sure it's not the greatest Italian food, but I'm sure like it's okay. Because I've been to places where like other Italians, like even in Montreal, and Montreal has some really great restaurants, but I've been where other towns like, oh, that place, the pasta there sucks, or this sucks or that sucks. And then I go and I try it. I'm like, okay, it's not the greatest, but it's good.
It passes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I thought. I'm like, I'm sure, you order some dish, some spaghetti and meatballs, it'll be fine. And I just decided to get chicken parm, and I did a video like saying that I just came out of it. People were like, chicken parm is not Italian food, and I'm like, who gives a shit? I've gone to Italian restaurants and they had like veal parm and all that.
You're Italian.
But there's no veal parm. First of all, it's only chicken parm, and the chicken parm. It looks like the chicken looks like the same things you would probably use to make, like if you go to Wendy's or something and they make you the chicken burger, it looks like that. It looks like those pieces of chicken. It just tasted terrible. My wife got this, spaghetti and meatballs, and I tried a bit of the spaghetti. It just tasted like somebody took like, not even tomato sauce, it was like tomato water, and they put it on the thing. Meatballs, no flavor. The soup, I had the soups, the soup was fine. But the soup was fine because there was just so much salt in it. All you taste is salt. So you're like, this has flavor, I guess. Because you taste, but it was pretty terrible. But I went in there, like I said, with an open mind, thinking to myself, it's not really that hard to make, like to make an exquisite, like tomato sauce for pasta. Yeah, you need to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But to really just make, whenever people tell me like, oh, I don't know how to make a sauce, I'm like, it's like super easy. You just take like, a bit of onions, some garlic, some oil, then you add tomato, canned tomatoes and stuff like that. And then you just cook it down. You add a little bit of salt and some seasoning. It's not hard. And whenever you go and you eat those things, it's like, this is not difficult to make, and people still fuck it up. It's like, how the fuck do you fuck this up? It's like literally just put salt, black pepper, some like chilies,
I agree.
and then,
I agree. Like that's like breakfast. How do you screw up breakfast? Like,
yeah, I was just about to say that breakfast. Whenever I go to a breakfast restaurant, and you ask for like you bring you either they're too runny or the yolk is almost all cooked. And you're like,
it's like they give you a brick for the bread. You're just like, how do you screw this? First of all, it's breakfast. I'm irritated that I'm awake this early.
Yeah, exactly.
I just need a reasonable meal. All right. This is just going to ruin the next at least 3-4 hours until I get a proper lunch. This is going to ruin my day. I don't know how they screw that up, but it does.
No, that what's that?
No, but screwed up breakfast. It's 50-50. You'll get a good breakfast because when you do, you're just like, oh my God, I'm totally coming to this place. This is my new breakfast.
Yeah.
This is
we found a place, my wife and I think it's called the country griddle or country something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very country when you go there, but they actually make good breakfast there. And also it's like, eggs, bacon, toast is like $7. Remember when like breakfast was like $5-6, and now definitely like cities like New York are definitely a lot more expensive.
You'll spend $20-$25 in New York.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But even the same thing in Montreal, you go to like a breakfast restaurant and you just order like bacon and eggs, just like a regular breakfast, toast, coffee, and it's like like $20. And like, why? Like these are like, this is like the most expensive thing is the bacon. But if you're a restaurant, obviously
the most expensive thing is the plate they're serving it on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the most expensive thing. Everything on there is about 45 freaking cents each. I mean,
eggs are cheap. Listen, I could buy eggs for $2. There's even eggs for $1.30 a dozen. Pretty sure that the restaurants that are buying 10,000 eggs a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So obviously the show, we talk about headlines and headspace, kind of what's going on locally here in New York, but I'd be curious to find out what's going on with you. If you had a kind of feel good story about what's going on in your life, what would that be?
A feel good story?
Yeah, just what's going on. I want to hear a feel good story.
I would have to say my wife, because she's in the next room. She might hear me. No, definitely getting married. I finally, I'm 40. Like I got married. I had to check for a second my age. That's how dumb I am that I sometimes forget how old I am. But also, or maybe it's not because I'm dumb. Just I'm like a man child.
I have to. Once you get over 40, you're just like, these numbers are meaningless. They're meaningless.
Yeah. You're like,
it's about how many numbers I have left. It's not about how many I have left.
Yeah.
It's somebody tell me how many more of these I get. That's what I don't give a shit about how many I've already had.
I'm counting the years after this. But yeah, so definitely getting married was very cool. Like I said, I'm 44 years old. I've had obviously relationships before, and I always felt like relationships kind of end because like I'm kind of very chill, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And there's things that are always going to bother you about whoever you're in a relationship with. And at some point you just go like, what are you going to do? That's the way they are. If you want to be this person, that's the way they are. And I'm just like kind of a chill person. I definitely have like anxiety about things that I need to do and my career. But when it comes to just like relationships with people, if it is romantic or platonic, like a friendship, I'm like, you know what? The person's not a bad person. They got these things, whatever. We all got our things. And I'm that kind of person. I'm just chill that way where I'm just like, everybody's got their things. So who gives a fuck? And I feel like in my relationships, I've always done that. And I'm going like, what are you going to do? She's like that. Yep. You know what I mean? She's a good person. But I never felt like that was being done for me. Like where it's like, he's a good guy. Sometimes he gets, a bit loaded and I find him passed out in the living room. You know what I mean? But, he doesn't do that every night. He might do that, every 3 or 4 weeks. You know what I mean? Not a big deal. Once a month, you find him on the floor.
First Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely, I finally found, somebody that she has definitely accepted, because I've
whole package.
I've shown her all my crazy, and she's still here. So I'm like, this is the one for sure.
Yeah, that's a definite.
Yeah, I know I signed that paper, marriage thing. So
that's definitely
I have to be.
story.
But recently, as far as a feel good thing, because I'm overweight. When I got here to Florida, I was like 263, 265. I'm currently 253. And about 3 weeks ago, I decided to buy a skateboard. It's actually right here. Just keep it by my desk.
All right.
About this guy over here.
It's real. Real.
We got Walt, right, with the Disney hat.
Yeah, Walt from Breaking
Bad, because I'm super into meth as well. Also a part of my feel-good story. I started smoking meth. No, I'm kidding. No, but I got into skateboarding, and it was a thing I've always liked. I wanted to do as a kid, but I never really did it. I remember in 1984, I put my foot on a skateboard and flew off. My friend's like, "No," I'm like, "Nah, fuck it, bro."
Charlie Brown.
But I've always, but I'll tell you, because going to the gym, even when I used to go to the gym, believe it or not, there's a time where I used to go to the gym and work out. It's always been boring. It's just, there's some people that go to the gym and it's like they like it and it's fun for them to just do this monotonous thing. They're called reps, and it's fucking abbreviation for repetition. And anything that's just repetition, just boring. Or even I got a bike. I just a mountain bike in a trail where you're doing little jumps and all that kind of stuff. That's fun. It's entertaining. But just taking a bike and just riding it down the streets. Again, there's people who get on those long distance Tour de France kind of thing, and they love it. They could just pedal in a straight line for miles. And for me, it's boring. But skateboarding, I find, is it's very challenging. It's fun. Just even if you just roll down 10 feet is fun and exciting. Pardon me? I've fallen a bunch of times, dude. I got a crazy big bruise on the side of my fucking leg, on the buttocks area. I fell, but I'm learning how to fall. Because
learning how to fall is a critical life skill.
Yeah, I got one of these, a helmet.
Oh, you got it.
When I first started skateboarding, I wasn't wearing a helmet. I go, fuck it, if you're doing ramps, vert, Tony Hawk shit, you got to wear that. But the thing is, I found I was hurting. I know it sounds dumb, but I was hurting myself more because whenever I would fall, because I do know how to fall, but whenever I'd fall, all I would worry about is my head. You know what I mean? I was I don't want to fucking smash my head. So since I was just concentrating on that, I was falling wrong and falling stiff.
And you were protecting my head.
And that's how, and I'm just fucking up the rest of my body. So then I'm like, you know what? Let me get a helmet. And since I put on the helmet, and then that's, I have to worry about cracking my head. So if I do knock my head, there's the helmet. Now I've been falling better and getting hurt less when I fall.
I'm glad to hear you're falling better. And
yes, yeah. No, falling is part of skateboarding. You can't avoid it, but it's a crazy workout. I've been working, I knew that, definitely it's, an activity and exercise, but I wanted to see, and then I started researching a bit, and 1 hour of just casual skateboarding is 400 calories 1 hour, and aggressive skateboarding 1 hour, 800 calories. And anyway, I've been skateboarding for 3 weeks now, and I lost about 10 pounds because because you're balancing yourself, you're kind of doing squats, kind of mini squats on the board because you're
surfing.
Yeah,
on the street.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just great, and it's fucking really exciting. And mountain biking, I have a mountain bike. To go to a trail, I got to drive at least an hour and 15. A skateboard, you just go in the parking lot. Everything's basically a skate park. Do you know what I mean? That's what's great about, I just found a little in the parking lot where I live, the building, there's a little bit of a transition that kind of dips down around the parking lot. There's a part that goes down and comes around.
I bet you they got a crazy one in the Scientology headquarters.
Oh, yeah. All you got to do is, hey, if you just sign up for Scientology, you can just skate.
You get a free skateboard, and you get to use this freaking skateboard for the rest.
And you never leave the skate park.
And you just have to sign this billion-year contract. So on that note, that's a great feel-good story. You found somebody who accepts.
I feel good. My bones are sore, but I feel good. I don't know why I'm talking like a Jewish man from Brooklyn, but I am.
Oh, that's great.
44 years old. Finally decided to take up skateboarding.
That's awesome. Well, look, I can't wait for this whole whatever we're living through to end and see you back up here in New York, do some shows together. And
yes, I'm temporarily in Florida. I will mention temporarily in Florida. Eventually, I will be back.
We'll see you back.
I really miss New York. Like,
go to the Olive Garden in Times Square. And
I'm sure that one's better.
That one's the best one in America. But anyway, thanks for coming on, man. And
thanks for having me, buddy.
Awesome to see you. And we'll be seeing you in person, hopefully sometime in the spring.